Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got your Week 16 running back start and sit video to help you guys out with your lineups for the semis in fantasy playoffs. Now, of course, if you haven't already, check out all my other start and sit videos to help you guys out. We've got a great slate of games on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, so let's talk about it. All right, so the fantasy playoffs are happening, and hopefully you guys have moved on, which is why you're watching this video as we speak. Now, it is week 16 of the NFL. We've got a Thursday night game between really two solid games between the Rams and the Seahawks, both 11-3, trying to fight for that title. And then, of course, you got two games on Saturday, games on Sunday and Monday, and then the holidays are here. So hopefully you guys are having a great season so far. And with that said, these are your obvious starts at the running back position. The list kind of gets smaller and smaller, but these are guys I trust, whether it be matchup or they just obviously dominate every single week. Now, the first running back I've got on my list is going to be Saquon Barkley as a good start this week against the Commanders. Let's give them some credit. Commanders are actually a team that have been struggling. They're giving the third most points to the running back position, 125 yards on the ground. They're giving about 5 targets, about 4 receptions per game as well, which is a big deal. Now, Saquon has not been heavily involved in the passing game, which is kind of disappointing because Barkley can do it. Now, in the last 6 weeks, right now, Saquon has been running back 14. He's had some good games. The really dud one was week 13 against Chicago. He only put up 5 points, but the last 2 weeks, he's been averaging about 17 fantasy points. He's got a touchdown in each game, which is great. He did have his 100-yard game in week 14. And again, I would like to see more targets. He's not getting a lot of receptions. The last time he had that was against Dallas, where he had 7 receptions, but again, that's the only thing that kind of saved him there. I would like to see a little bit more, but this is a great matchup against the Commanders who are struggling, and this is a game that they should dominate, which means they're going to run the ball often with Saquon Barkley. Another running back I really like this week is Bucky Irving. I understand that, the matchup looks really good. The Panthers are disappointing, right? As far as a rush defense, they're allowing 109 yards. They're allowing about 5 receptions per game, which is something where Bucky can succeed in. Bucky Irving obviously lost a lot of time due to his injury because I think he would have had an even better season. With that said, though, he did have a disappointing week last week against the Falcons because when he came back from injury on week 13, he had 16 points. Week 14, 16 points. But then last week, like I said, he kind of laid a dud there. I do think he's going to get about 3 receptions. I do think he's going to get about 70 rushing yards and maybe sprinkle in a touchdown there. I think the matchup is perfect for him. This is a game that both, again, Tampa and Carolina are trying to get this division. It's a really tough matchup between the two because they know each other pretty well. I do give the edge to the Bucs, but you can't really take Carolina out of it. But I think if they're going to, they're going to use Bucky. Having the receivers back is great news because they don't have to rely on the run as far as stopping them, which again gives the edge to Bucky. I love this matchup. He's only going to get better. I think this is a perfect one for him. Nice little bounce back week. Another running back I really like this weekend, James Cook versus the Browns. The reason why I mentioned that, in the last 6 weeks, the Browns have really struggled against the run. Their defense is normally really good, but they are struggling. They're allowing 111 yards on the ground. They're allowing a touchdown per game as well, and they're allowing about 4 receptions per game. Now, James Cook should be an automatic start, and I didn't put him in the obvious because there are some games where I get a little nervous, and I know some people are kind of nervous about the matchup, right? The Browns are a good team. They're good as far as a defensive team, but they have not played well recently. And James Cook is coming off a 31-point performance where he had 3 touchdowns in that game. Is that going to happen again? Unlikely, but this is a really good matchup for him. I do like this one for James Cook. You absolutely put him in there. And the last running back I'm going to put is Woody Marks versus the Raiders. Now, there's a chance Woody Marks misses time. We'll have to pay attention to that. So again, keep an eye on the news and injury reports and things like that. But if he does end up playing, this is a good matchup going against the Raiders. The Raiders are allowing about 26 points. They're allowing 120 rushing yards and a touchdown per game. One thing that I like about Woody Marks is he is starting to get the ball in a lot more touches. Now, he did get hurt last week. He only put up 10 points in that injury because he did get a touchdown to help save his game. If you did end up starting him, if he had not gotten hurt, I think he probably would have put up 18 to 19 points. I think that's where he probably would have finished. He had a good game against the Kansas City Chiefs, putting up 15 fantasy points. So I do think that they believe in him. I do think they're going to utilize him a lot more. Again, as far as a running back goes, I like Woody Marks' matchup. I like him as a good start this week. Now, as far as running backs, I'm going to sit there. A couple names you're probably going to be surprised. I got Travis Etienne versus the Broncos. Etienne, yes, has been running back 5 in the last 6 weeks. He has been phenomenal. A lot of it has been, he got last week, he had 4 receptions, 73 receiving yards, and then 3 receiving touchdowns, which is unheard of as a running back. So that helped save him putting up 31 points. Week 14, he had 21 points. He had 2 touchdowns. The likelihood of him having that many touchdowns is a little bit less, but it's hard to sit him if you don't have other running backs. So I don't blame you. I may have to start him in a couple leagues, and I hope that he does well. But the matchup is actually pretty tough. When you're going against the Broncos are actually one of the better defenses against the running back position. Actually, the best. They're only allowing 65 yards on the ground, which is the second best in the league. They're allowing only 3.8 yards. They have yet to allow 100 rushing yards in the last 6 weeks as well. And they're not allowing a lot of receptions either, which is where Travis Etienne has had some really big games. Do they have a chance to score? Absolutely. Do I think he gets down there? Sure. Tootin may not play with his injury, so that really is going to put everything on Etienne. But I do think this is a matchup that if I've got other running back options, if I got a pretty good depth to my team, then I may look at putting Travis Etienne on the bench, because I do think this is a matchup he may end up having a struggle. Another running back I don't trust this week is going to be R.J. Harvey in that same game. Going against the Jaguars are pretty good. They're only allowing 17 points as a whole to the running back. They're allowing the league best rushing yards, fewest rushing yards, which is 62. Part of it is they're putting up enough points that teams can't or won't run the ball because they've got to play catch up. They do allow some receptions to happen. And I know RJ Harvey has had some upside. Don't get me wrong. He's had some games where you're like, man, this looks really good. Week 13 and 14, over 21 points per game. But then he struggled against the Packers last week, which was understandable, right? He didn't put up the points that you'd hope, but he did score a touchdown in that game, which helped, right? Add some value, but the fumble hurt him. But again, he was only going to put up about 12 points. And I think that's kind of where he's going to be at in this week. I think he's going to get 10 to maybe 11 points. And that's not something you really want to trust putting your start. Maybe as a flex, as an option, you could put him in there because that's not horrible in that spot, but I would not put him as my running back 1 or 2. Another running back I'm sitting in this week is going to be Chase Brown versus the Dolphins. Dolphins, man, they have played really well against running backs. They're only allowing 91 rushing yards, which is quite a bit, but they're not allowing touchdowns. They're not allowing a lot of rushing yards when it comes to the red zone as well, but they do allow some receptions. So maybe Chase Brown has some catching up to do when it comes to the receiving aspect. He is a good receiving back. I mean, heck, last week against Baltimore, he had 7 receptions, which was big. So he can get those receptions. So if he gets 3 to 4, maybe 20 yards in the air, 40 yards on the ground, he might have a decent game. And he's a nice little flex play if you got to play him. But as far as my RB 1 and 2, I am a little nervous against the Dolphins. With that said, though, now that the Dolphins have switched quarterbacks, maybe this changes my mind on him, but I still am a little hesitant. I think he's more of a solid flex than as far as a running back 1 or 2, again, depending on how your roster is built. And the last running back I'm going to sit this week, it's going to be, as far as running back, is going to be Ashton Genty. Genty has had games where he has looked really good, but he has also struggled a little bit, right? The last 2 weeks, week 14, 5 points, week 15, 8 points. He had 2 good games in week 12 and 13, but he's not playing well. He's averaging like 3 yards a carry, 3.5 yards a carry. Overall for the season, he's struggling. I get a lot of it is the offensive line. He is getting receptions, which is helpful, but the matchup is kind of tough for him. You're going against the Texans defense, is one of the best in the league. Texans are only allowing 71 yards on the ground. They only allow 3.8 yards per carry. They do allow some receptions, so maybe Genty can save you a little bit. But as far as the matchup goes, he's no better than maybe 10 to 12 points. Again, maybe a flex play. You got to put him in there. But I'm going to sit him. I do worry a lot for that. Now, as far as my sleepers, I've got Audric Estime, who's going to end up probably being the starter. He's going to probably get some carries mixed in with Evan Hull for the Saints because Neal's going to be out, Kamara is going to be out. They're going to need to do something. But the Jets are a great matchup for Estime to have. They're allowing 33 fantasy points, which is stupid. They're allowing 170 yards. They're allowing almost a touchdown per game. So the matchup is perfect. I think this is a nice little game. If you had to pick up someone to put a little bit of some faith in, and maybe, again, as a sleeper, Estime is definitely worth it. And the other one is going to be Jordan Mason going against the Giants. Giants are, again, the second worst team against the run. They're allowing 133 yards on the ground. They're allowing a touchdown per game. And I think Jordan Mason's the one that ends up being the guy who takes advantage of it over Aaron Jones. I think they like him a lot more. And again, if you're just looking for a sleeper, nice little flex play, Jordan Mason is that guy. So those are my start, sits, and sleepers for week 16. If you guys have questions, hit me in the comments down below. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys just subscribe. Hit that like button, is greatly appreciated. And make sure you guys check out all my other start and sit videos, and I'll see you guys next time.